All right, Utah's up by 1, trying to force a finals game 7. Stockton's got the ball, coach.
And we know Utah loves to go to either pick and rolls or post Karl Malone.
Kerr's on him. Malone trying to get free. Rodman on him. Oh, and Jordan steals the ball.
That's just great awareness by Michael Jordan. Came from the backside and took it right out of his hands. Coach, what do you think they're going to run here?
I doubt if Jordan's giving up this ball. It's showtime for Michael Jordan. He attacks a little push off with the left hand. It's good. It's good.
Chicago's got the lead.
He drove it, frozen, and posed on it. It's the master versus the apprentice. Supposedly, Jordan wasn't a three-point shooter. How about 6 in the first half? Brutal foul. Remarkable finish by MJ. Are you kidding me from the foul line? For the win. Oh, and he's won the 82 championship for North Carolina.
Well, for Michael Jordan, his legendary stature begins here at the University of North Carolina. Interestingly enough, when Michael came into college, he wasn't thought of as going to be the savior to North Carolina. North Carolina was already #1 team in the nation. So all of a sudden, he comes into this talented team where he could develop and learn his skills and learn his craft. And I think that was the best thing for him. The game between North Carolina and Georgetown. This game is so important because you have 3 top 75 players playing in this game. Patrick Ewing was probably the premier player in college basketball, along with James Worthy. And now you're adding Michael Jordan to the mix. Michael became a focal point inside of the game that I don't know if Georgetown was aware of or was ready for. I think Michael Jordan hitting that game-winning shot propelled him into a great stratosphere of confidence. This is where he honed his skills to become the greatest basketball player that we've ever seen.
Well, New Orleans is buzzing tonight with the national championship in the Superdome.
The first time I ever saw Michael Jordan was in 1981 at the McDonald's All-American game in Wichita, Kansas. As soon as I saw him on the court, he was different. Every practice session was like Game 7. And he did that relentlessly every single session. Okay, he's dominating us. He's the best player in the gym by far. We see this. But can he do it against NBA players at that next level? 1984 Olympic team, we went on somewhat of an NBA tour against NBA All-Stars to prepare for the Olympics in LA. All the stars showed up. Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, Kevin McHale. The best player on the court was Michael Jordan, this junior from the University of North Carolina. And I think ultimately, it was the preview of the greatest player of all time coming on the scene.
Taste in your mouth. But like we said, a terrific performance by Team USA. You got to give them credit.
Yep, they went the distance. For our terrific reporter, David Aldridge, along with Clark Kellogg and Mike Fratello, I'm Kevin Harlan, saying thank you for tuning in tonight. So long and good night, everyone.
Michael was extremely competitive in everything he did. In Michael's second year, the Bulls were not any good, and we were the Boston Celtics, and we were on our way as one of the greatest teams ever to play basketball at any level, at any time. In Game 1, we kill them. Larry, Kevin, Chief, Danny, DJ, they have great games. And at the end of the game, we look at the box score, and this guy named Michael Jordan, he's got 49 points. We just said, well, yeah, he's pretty darn good, but he'll never do that again. Game 2 takes 41 shots, makes 22 of them, takes 21 free throws and makes 19 of them and goes for 63 points. The Celtics are able to win the game in double overtime, 135 to 131. But we knew how lucky we had been to win that game because Michael was just so spectacular. That was the game where Larry Bird, in his post-game media comments, said, "I've just seen God disguised as Michael Jordan." And the rest is history.
The setting for this one of the most feared venues in the league. Boston Garden, all ready for NBA playoff basketball. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Boston, home of Game 2 of the Chicago Bulls-Boston Celtics matchup. I'm Kevin Harlan. I'll be joined by Clark Kellogg and Coach Mike Fratello. And Mike, Chicago hoping to even the series up here tonight.
And Jordan is an aggressive defender now. Excels at getting into his man and making things hard.
The 3 quarters of play all in the books, and this one all but over already. It's Chicago, just a view of the Charles River, not far from where we are. Boston Garden, and getting ready for the second half. We're here in Boston for Game 2 of the Bulls and Celtics. Second half of play getting going here in Boston.
The thing that I liked most about Michael Jordan as a player was the fact that I didn't have to try to guard him. If you had a poor defensive scheme, he was going to fill the hoop up until you either figured it out or the game was over and you lost the game. Some of his acrobatic drives to the hoop are just remarkable. You know, he can get past the defense and use a little bit of English off of the glass. The ball drops in so nice. It takes some really advanced skills to do that consistently. The 1988 All-Star Game was a showcase for Michael. Michael had figured out all the things he needed to know to be a dominant player. Everything. One-on-one, couldn't guard him. What Michael Jordan showed the whole sports world was the fact that you put the right people with him, he's going to lead them to world championships, without question. He was a prime example of excellence and a leader that would lead you all the way to the top, all the way to the top. That was basketball at its finest.
Crosstown traffic and the green line whizzing by overhead on this calm winter night in Chicago.
You know when Michael Jordan is coming to town, you always wanted to get a good night's sleep, a good night rest, something good to eat, because you know the next day Michael Jordan is in your building and he's coming to put on a show, and you have to compete against that. Game 5 was at our place, and you know, a typical game, Eastern Conference game, a physical game, it was like a back and forth thing, the shot. You know, everybody want to talk about the shot. Chicago kept fighting, MJ kept making plays. It's at the end of the game, and we going to the timeout, and everybody talking. I was like, Coach, I want to guard MJ. Like, I got to guard MJ. There's only one player that's getting this basketball, and that's MJ. He's like, we're gonna put Craig Elo on there. I'm like, and he jumped up, and Elo jumps up, Elo stops, and MJ does this to Elo. Elo comes down, and he shoots it, and it was slow motion. And it was like, he's the guy that you want the ball in his hand late in the ball game, because he's gonna win most of those ball games by himself.
All right, Coach, Cleveland will go inbound. What can the Cavaliers do?
The Cavs trying to deny Jordan the ball. They actually 2-on-1 him without the ball. Elo trying to catch back up. The shot's up. It's good!
Oh,
Michael Jordan!
Wow, Coach, a Game 5 winning shot. Doug Collins off the bench, and the Bulls have won.
You can never, ever count Michael Jordan out.
Michael was a different level, man. He's a different level of competitiveness, just sheer will to win. He changed the game. He changed the game. I mean, not just in one aspect, in many aspects, in every aspect of the game, he changed it. I played against some of the greatest players in the history of this game. Michael Jordan was one of those guys that lifted my ability to the next level. We enjoyed the competition with one another. We played very hard and fiercely against one another, but it was like you had two gentlemen going head to head. Michael Jordan and I wasn't just coming down the court getting dunks after dunks. We found creative ways to score. I can't tell you the fun and the pleasure I had to play against him. You know, and Michael and I, we never really talked about those games. It was kind of an unspoken thing between us. You know, the respect level that we had was at a different level. I think I had a great game in Atlanta, and I remember going to Chicago. Michael walks into our locker room, and we're still in suit and tie. We haven't gotten dressed yet, and he walks in our locker room, suit and tie, and I was like, what are you doing coming in our locker room? And I ain't gonna say exactly what I said. And so he walked by me, he walked by Kevin Willis, and he got to Randy Whitman, he tapped him on his butt, and he said, lace him up, it's gonna be a long night. He got 60 that night. He got 60. And it was a very close game. I think it went down to the last shot in that game, but I think he proved his point.
One-sided affair. It's the Bulls running away with this one.
42.
And will return shortly. We'll take a quick break and then back to the action here.
You think about the most complete basketball player, Michael Jordan was it. That year we won 56, 57, 58 games, something like that. We were really good. If you were going to beat us, you had to do something special. And I knew what we were up against in him. You knew it was going to be a daunting task. You're going to play your best basketball, and he's just not going to have an off game. And you're trying to make sure you manage everyone else, and hopefully he has a few misses here or there. They were struggling, and so Michael, I vividly remember one play, he came off of a screen, and he was really supposed to kick the ball to the corner, but he turned the corner, he went to the basket. And I was like, oh, okay. And he took it upon himself to score. Went to overtime, and he was just unstoppable. And he scored, you know, obviously 69 points. He had almost 20 rebounds. So it was remarkable to watch that and to be a part of that, because we had done everything right, and even defending him, we were getting into him, and he was taking tough shots. He was just making them. Michael Jordan took what they did to the next level because of his explosiveness, his swag, his demeanor, and ultimately his success.
Michael Jordan getting it done for the Bulls. They kept going to him again and again, and he delivered with a monster quarter. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Michael Jordan's flair, charisma, control, understanding the game. Nobody can do that. He was so graceful with the basketball, and he would change gears on you and change direction really, really quick. It's just amazing, man. If you see it, you know, in person, it's like, we're like, oh, you know, we start a fast break, somebody's gonna get dunked on, and it's gonna be Michael dunking on somebody. In the 1990 Eastern Conference Finals, I think the Bulls was really getting to figure us out. Joe Dumars used to guard him first because that's the beginning of the game. Then once he got out the game, I had to go guard him. You know, I don't think anybody else could have guarded him. John Sally, Rick Mahorn, Bill Laimbeer, no. Whenever he got the ball, I'm pretty much like nose to nose with him because I didn't want him to do anything to embarrass me. I named the Jordan rule. If he goes to the hole, put him on the ground. If you see some of those clips, you'll see that we just hit him every time we go to the basket. And he's always on the ground, like in pain. But he always gets back up. He learned after a while, man, that he just took control from there. I think people really saw one of the best performances in the NBA when Michael played against us. And we didn't let anyone do that against us. But almost put 50 on us quick. Check his resume out. It's awesome. It's like, wow, this guy's amazing.
So it's the Chicago Bulls heading to the bench with a 7-point lead as we wrap up the quarter. They have made it very tough to get a shot off against them. Their defense has been stifling. And don't go away. We'll be right back. Down double digits, it may be difficult to overcome. Bulls ahead, up 19. We're going to step aside for just a second, but join us right back here for the start of the fourth quarter. Next.
Michael Jordan was royalty. He was Elvis Presley. He was the Beatles. It was Michael Jordan versus the NBA. He was that good, and he had a charisma that was unique to him, but also that killer instinct of wanting to win. When Michael Jordan came into town, the Great Western Forum became the place to be. You couldn't live your life if you didn't get a chance to see Michael Jordan perform in person. When the Lakers and the Bulls faced each other in that 1991 finals, it was that moment where you could really say sports and entertainment were coming together. When the Bulls won that series, right there you saw like kind of the passing of the torch. What Michael did and what Michael accomplished and represented in the 90s inspired the next generation of talent. Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time.
Of Jordan and Pippen, their athleticism is causing major issues for the Lakers.
Michael Jordan getting it done for the Bulls. He totaled 14 points in the quarter. He's given them all the offense they need right now. Back to the action in just a minute.
A score of his caliber down.
And so it's Chicago, sitting pretty as the quarter comes to a close. Their lead all the way up there at 35 points. They've been playing
and got the space he needed to fire.
Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls have done it. For the first time, Mike Fratello, the Bulls are world champions.
Michael Jordan has answered the doubters. He can lead a team to a title. This has to be extra sweet for Michael.
And for the Bulls, Clark Kellogg, this is a long time coming.
Tremendous job by this entire organization.
When Michael Jordan played in Chicago, the crowd just went crazy to another decibel level. And I'd get the chills every time. He played with such a fury. He was electric on the court. Before the Shrug game, the game against Portland in the NBA Finals, the public relations people couldn't find Michael. The reason was he was on the court taking three-point shots, and he was not noted as a three-point shooter. We asked him about it. He said, well, you never know when a three-point shot might come in handy. Obviously, he had figured something out, that he was going to surprise them, but you have to hit the shots. This incredible onslaught of threes takes place in the first half, and he hit 6 of them. That was unheard of at that time for anyone. He looks over at our broadcast table and gives that shrug. And I think what I took out of that most, it showed his humility, that he could not believe that he hit 6 three-pointers. That was, I thought, one of the incredible moments in playoff history. I would have to go with Jordan as the GOAT.
Playing in the NBA Finals, motivation is a given. But if bulletin board material carries weight, the Blazers have plenty. The defending champion Bulls have added their voices to a chorus casting Portland as a paper tiger with talent to burn but unable to stick to a winning script. Now, can the Blazers shred that narrative and write their own championship chapter?
So it's Michael Jordan making things happen for the Bulls. What an amazing quarter. There was absolutely no stopping him. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Jordan getting it done for Chicago. He totaled 14 points in the quarter. He's given them all the offense they need right now. And don't go away. We'll be right back.
To make that happen, Michael Jordan's got one finger on the trophy already.
And you know the Chicago crowd will be ready, Clark, for game 2. This building will be rocking.
No question about it, Kevin.
Michael changed the game because everyone tried to do the things that he did. He would drive down, dunk on people with his tongue wagging and all that stuff. What he became, the evolution, I mean, it was like, wow. When you have a guy with the kind of notoriety, the kind of popularity that Michael has, it's good for the whole entire league. You know, y'all keep calling it the double nickel game. He dropped 55, and you know, he made a move to get to the free throw line, and I thought he was going up for the shot, and I go to try to block the shot. He dishes it off to Bill Winnington. He dunks it. That game was the coming out party for him. You know, he showed the league, the world, that he was still great, and he went on to win 3 more championships. According to him, he retired for 2 years to give the rest of us an opportunity to try to win a title. And according to him, I didn't take advantage of it. So he had to come back to show the world that he's the man.
Going on an absolute rampage, piling in the points. He dictated the pace of the entire quarter. We'll get right back to the action when we return. Lead in this one may already have been decided. It's Chicago running away with this one. 74. And we're coming back in just a moment. Get ready for the 4th quarter of action when we return.
Season contest, but having MJ back in the building certainly made this one feel special.
Clark, do you think this registers as an especially tough loss for the Knicks?
No question about it, Kevin. Always hard to lose a game at home, but you got to put it behind you. I know they're thinking ahead, and they'll look to handle business next time out.
When you win 6 championships and win MVPs and win scoring titles, you have to be considered one of the best. Michael Jordan had that and more. Going into the 1996 series against the Chicago Bulls, I was the defensive player of the year. Michael was the MVP, and they had made a big deal about it. But I think my mindset was just to go in there and contain him, make him take uncomfortable shots, make him take something that's not in his rhythm, and give us a chance to win, and make other players beat us. Kukoc stepped up, Pippen stepped up, a lot of players stepped up. Michael Jordan stepped up in Game 6. He got smart about it by attacking us and getting us in situations where we're getting in foul trouble, and then we couldn't do nothing about it. In these games, I was saying anything I wanted to say to Mike, and it went back and forth, and he didn't back down. He was always strong, and he always came at me, and I loved him. I think he's one of the greatest basketball players to ever play the game.
It had been deemed impossible. No team has ever returned from a 3-0 series deficit. But the Sonics have marched back from the brink and now stand poised to take it the distance. And tonight, as they approach the final leg, it's their opponent Bulls who seem wounded and weary. Once given up for lost, can they find their way to the promised land?
Dusk here in Chicago as the last moments of sunlight glow over Lake Michigan and the bustling downtown of Chicago, Illinois. Game 6 of the NBA Finals comes away with 11 points in the quarter.
The Supersonics.
So it's the Chicago Bulls riding high with a 23-point lead heading into the break. They've been playing some inspired defense, giving up very few easy points. Right back after. That's blocked.
Good aggressive defense from Winnington. Fearlessly going after the shot.
And the Chicago Bulls have done it. 72 wins and the NBA championship. The greatest season in NBA history.
To win it all in front of their home fans, it makes this special. This team has gone through so much.
But this win solidifies this Bulls team's place in NBA history, don't you think?
I agree, and I think they very well could be the best team ever. Maybe the best we've ever seen, this 96 Bulls team. And Michael Jordan, his 4th title. MJ is in the conversation for greatest player of all time.
Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, all future Hall of Famers.
Boy, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, what more can you say? And you can just see the emotion and what this moment means to Michael Jordan. Congratulations to the Chicago Bulls, 1996 NBA champions.
You know, I feel fortunate to have been covering the Bulls at that time and being so close to watch this transformation of this young man just becoming the greatest basketball player that's ever played. Nothing could ever stop him from winning. It was all about winning. The flu game, they called it. It could have been the pizza game because he thought it was food poisoning and he looks horrible. He could barely talk. You know, and I didn't want to keep asking him about how you feel, this, and that, and the other. I could just see it in his eyes. I think he realized the situation. You have an opportunity to win a championship, and it can go away. We're not going to wait till you get better and then play the next week. The thing that always brought the greatness out in him was a challenge. And he was just zoned in. And there was nothing that was going to stop him from playing his best and winning that basketball game.
For Chicago, he totaled 14 points in the quarter. He's given them all the offense they need right now. We'll take a quick break and then back to the action here.
Jordan doesn't need any help there. I mean, his athleticism is really...
It's Michael Jordan making things happen for Chicago. What an amazing quarter. There was absolutely no stopping him. We'll get right back to the action when we return. Say the least.
Assuming Michael Jordan is back at full strength, Kevin, it very well could be an impossible task.
Well said. For our reporter, David Aldridge, along with Clark Kellogg and Mike Fratello, this is Kevin Harlan.
Michael Jordan is the greatest player ever. Just watching him play, he had tenacity, he had focus, he had drive, he had vision, and Kobe emulated his game after Mike. He did everything Mike did, walk like him, talk like him. He did everything. He loved Mike. So, you know, the ability to go against him that day, just him versus Mike, he lived for stuff like that. So I remember that game. You know, he wasn't calling no plays, and every time Mike scored, he knew he had to score. Whatever Mike was doing, he had to do it or outdo him. That's what you do when you go up against a great player, AKA your idol. You gotta let them know that you're coming to take their spot.
NBA superstars are judged by their championships. In 1991, Michael Jordan and the Bulls secured their first, knocking off Magic Johnson and the Lakers. To some, a passing of the torch from one great dynasty to another. But now, a new challenge emerges from Los Angeles. A young Lakers team who tonight will lean on their high-flying youngster, Kobe Bryant. Jordan making things happen for Chicago. They kept going to him again and again, and he delivered with a monster quarter. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
A sizable deficit. The defense has got to tighten up.
And for Jordan, passing his previous mark of 49, which came against the Clippers back in November. Comes to a close. Their lead all the way up there at 35 points. They've been playing some inspired defense, giving up very few easy points. And we've got more M2K Sports coming your way after this break. Okay, crew. This is Kevin Harlan thanking you for watching this 2K Sports presentation of the NBA. So long, everyone.
Stars make every player on the team better. Michael Jordan, his ability to challenge himself, his natural ability physically of being able to play with such great energy, his intelligence, basketball intelligence, all those things I think were remarkable. I enjoyed coaching Michael Jordan because he had a respect for coaches and he had a desire to play at a peak level, and he's willing to follow instructions without, wanting to over-dominate the game. Even as a young player, there were times in the fourth quarter where he would make up the difference in a ball game on his own. I had to bring Michael in my office and say, Michael, when's the last time someone who led the league in scoring won a championship? Thought about it a bit. He said, Rick Barry. I said, yeah, that's right, in the 70s. But it's very rare that person that wins scoring championship is also on a championship team. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to move the ball around and we're going to take the spotlight off you all the time and involve the other players on your team. He said, oh, you're going to have that equal opportunity offense. Well, what's going to happen when the 24-second clock gets under 5 seconds? We'll coach the players how to get the ball to you in that particular time so you can activate the ball. Save that terrific scoring ability for the fourth quarter. He laughed and he accepted the responsibility. And the other thing that we did is we moved him from a guard to a forward position. We really wanted to win the series in Chicago, Game 5, and we lost this game and we flew out to Utah to play the 6th game, and Michael said, we're going to end it tonight. You guys get ready for this ball game because we're not going 7. Going into the game, we kind of knew what we had to do to win the game. You had to play close, but come out and win the game in the last 5 minutes. The timeout that I did take with about 40-some seconds to go. That was the key, because knowing Jerry Sloan and having coached against him many times, I knew that if we could go down and score and make it a one-possession game, that he wouldn't call a timeout. We'll run the open. Dennis will, run a pick or set a pick or slip a pick, depending upon what Ostertag does. And Michael, you can double back on Malone if you have the ability. You saw the crowd rise behind that whole activity. You could see the anticipation that they had that this was a crucial moment. Michael changed the idea and pulled up for the jumper instead of taking it to the hoop and finished it. We called that season The Last Dance, and I thought, for an ending of a career, there could have been nothing sweeter than what Michael had just done.
All right, fellas, let's get out of the box quickly. Do what we did last time, take a shot. What time is it? Game time! Move!
Every great plot has its twist. Game 5 of the NBA Finals was no exception. In fact, it may have shifted the momentum in this series. Michael Jordan was hitting the back of the rim all night. Meanwhile, Karl Malone finally found his rhythm, 39 points. And he had help, most notably from an unlikely source, forward Antoine Carr. Called upon in the second half, Carr had 5 attempts from the field. He made all 5. Chicago couldn't close it out at home, so we're back in Utah for Game 6, coming up next.
The offense coming free and easy as we wrap up the first quarter. It's the Bulls leading by 7. And the second quarter will get underway just after this short break. One-sided affair. It's the Bulls running away with it. And we're coming back in just a moment. Get ready for the fourth quarter of action when we return.
That's where he operates best.
This could be it for Jordan, potentially his last possession as a Chicago Bull. Burrell can't get it to go. And the Chicago Bulls win their 6th championship, completing a second 30-peat. Without question, Mike, one of the greatest dynasties this league has ever seen.
6 championships in 8 seasons, a decade of dominance. The 90s have belonged to Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls.
And this title run for the Bulls, arguably, Clark, their most difficult, with age and injuries and even some palace intrigue. But for the moment, merely jubilation.
You covered it all there, Kevin. What a remarkable run. And now we'll just have to wait and see whether they decide to run it back one more time. This very well, though, could be the final chapter